Welcome back to the broadcast, guys. As you can see behind me, we've got another creek crossing going on, and I'm excited for several reasons. Number one, I love culvert work. Anybody who's a subscriber knows that. Two, Brandon's stretching his legs on the excavator. He's getting really comfortable with it. He's doing a great job running it, and he's becoming more and more efficient every time he gets on it. Right to the project. Number one, in this big old creek here, actually it's a little creek with a big divide. We're going to try to roll that stump out. We don't know if it's going to come out too easy or not. If it don't, it's no big deal. I showed him what I wanted done as far as stripping the grass off the banks of this. We want dirt on dirt. We don't want a layer of organic material that's going to rot over time. Even though this is not going to be a road, potentially somewhere way down in the future, they could sell this pasture over here and it become a driveway. So we want to kind of think ahead. The culvert we're dropping in this is pretty much overkill. It's going to be a 4-foot culvert, but the reward is they got a bigger pipe that will carry any amount of water it'll ever need to, and we don't have to charge as much to move dirt to fill in around this thing. We're going to have to move a lot of dirt. We got some rain yesterday, so we're kind of testing the waters to see how dry the ground still is, and over this way they did get some good moisture and the ground is soaked a little bit, but below the surface you can see we've got good dry dirt. So I feel pretty confident we're going to be able to load up the dump truck and move material. So let me show you the pipe we're going to put in. It's not the biggest pipe we've ever put in. We put in one that's twice this size, 8 feet, which for some of you guys watching this, that's a small pipe too. I've got it beside a Ram 1500 to give you guys an idea of size. I'm 5 feet 9 inches tall, which is not tall at all. This is the pipe we're putting in. I've learned a lot of things over the years. One of the main things that I've learned and I made the mistake of in the past is you don't just take a pipe and set it down in the creek. You have to dig down, and for you guys who saw my recent video where I met one of the guys that actually put a pipe in that I removed 37 years prior, he really explained to me the importance of putting the pipe in to the creek. So that means we're going to excavate down into the creek bed, and what I'm going to have him do is as we excavate the creek bed out, we're going to dam the creek up so that that trench doesn't fill with water, because these double wall pipes can and will float, and even with a machine that weighs 20,000 pounds, it's hard to push that pipe down the water to displace it, get it flowing through it to where it's no longer buoyant and floating. That's pretty big stuff. So this is going to end up being a fun project. We're going to have to move a lot of dirt to fill in around this, but like I say, if we were purposefully building this for a road right away, we wouldn't just backfill with dirt. We would actually fill around the pipe with a washed stone, like a 3/4 driveway gravel or even railroad ballast. And I've even seen people use riprap to fill in around them up to where the sides of the pipe are the widest. The hump, as Lyle called it. And that's because it's hard to get under the pipe and compact the ground perfectly, not push the pipe up and out of the ground. As you pack, it'll actually keep lifting the pipe. So you can put some dirt on top of the pipe, but still it's difficult. Being that this does not have to be super compacted right away, and it's got probably years to set and settle, we are going to just backfill with dirt. And if you guys have reasons that we shouldn't do this, or you disagree, kindly put it in the comments, and I will interact with the comments. I love interacting with people who have positive contributions to the channel. We are moving right along. Brandon's doing a phenomenal job, and he's moving quite rapidly, a lot quicker than I expected. What we're going to do now is we're going to start rolling out this creek bed, and I told him as long as this trench is about 3 feet wide and 1 to 2 feet deep, it's going to set the pipe deep enough for that creek bed to build up back in the middle of it again, and that's a perfect scoop right there. Also, what he's going to be doing is taking that material he's digging out of the creek bed, since it's creek bed material, and he's going to go over to there where he's going to drop that material into the creek and dam it up, and that way the creek can start draining, and when we go to set the pipe in, it's not going to have water to float on. Now some may wonder, how in the world do you dam up the creek fast enough to where it don't just spill over the dam in some cases that can be tough and it can be a problem, but in this case the land is so flat that if you build up a 2-foot dam, it's going to take 30 to 40 minutes for the water to back upstream enough to where it will spill over. So we can just work at a good pace, relaxed, and make this thing happen. Hopefully, if we are unsuccessful in damming this thing up necessarily, we can manipulate the water as slow as it's flowing. Once we make our dam, I can use the excavator to push the water out of the way, and before it has time to spill over and fill our trench up again, I can push the pipe in. You do have to have a little bit more experience with an excavator to be able to do something that fast, but Brandon's learning and he will be there eventually. Today, maybe not. I may have to get on the machine and put this pipe in, but I'm gonna give him every opportunity to do it himself and become a better operator. He's doing an amazing job. For somebody that didn't have much experience at all, I don't think he had any experience on an excavator before he started with me 1 month ago. And it's obvious how much of a natural ability he has. A lot of people just have trouble grasping how to control these machines. And a big part of it is being able to work both joysticks at the same time, and in many cases work your feet and both hands at the same time to maneuver easily. So he's doing a great job, moving along very well. So we got our creek pretty well dug out. That water that's flowing through is just water off the mud from our little dam we got going on. He's gonna move one stick out of the way that would have held the pipe up, and we'll be able to roll this sucker in, and hopefully this will drain out enough by then for us to be able to set the pipe. We'll be moving right along. A little time consuming, but it's just as easy for Brandon to run back around to the other side, and we're going to slide this pipe into the exact position we want it to be, and then I'm just going to have him set the bucket down on it because it's not enough water in that creek to float it right now. He's doing a great job. He's done almost every bit of this project by himself today. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but we have actually dug into the stream bed a lot. We've got our little dam, and we've got a rock here holding us up and a rock there holding us up. So I've instructed Brandon to push this pipe down out of the way. We're going to take one more scoop to get these rocks out of the way, and then we'll slide the pipe back up and reestablish our natural creek bed level, and it'll start flowing in and through our pipe. And that wasn't no fault of his. Those rocks, creeks have a tendency to grow rocks. And that's a rock. You just gotta roll every bit of that out of the way. Now you got that thumb being used. I'm gonna get splashed. Maybe. Nope. Fine job, sir. Fine job. Now he's ready to get in position to push the pipe back up, and when he pushes that pipe back up, that bell end's going to dig in and it's going to collect this creek bed here. So I'm going to tell him to keep pushing until we embed, and then we can remove all this stuff. We're going to waterproof this thing now. Getting some of that creek stone and cobble. We're pretty much putting the creek bed back. We're going to get that water flowing through that pipe now. We're just going to reestablish the creek bed to the same height that it was. It'll be flowing through our pipe and we'll be solid. We're not going to use wet material like that in the middle of the pipe. If we had put dry material on this upper side, unless it was washed stone, it would just soak water up anyway. We'll be set here shortly. Now we got the pipe set, water's flowing through it, it's set in the creek bed. We're just gonna let that area continue to dry out. I've got Brandon lined up. I marked out on the ground the areas that we want to do our borrow pit or borrow area from. And this is just an area that she hasn't really been able to use for anything. So we're gonna strip the grass off first and see how wet the ground is. If it's dry enough, we'll go ahead and start digging it out and start aerating the dirt. If it is a little damp, let it dry to where we can really compact it over that pipe. But after those couple of passes, we'll have a really good area. It's definitely some moist ground. We'll see how it looks once we strip a layer off. give him a break. I'll stir this dirt for a minute for us. I don't mind if a little bit of grass and roots is in this project, but most of the time I don't like much any. Most part, this crossing is just going to be for her to walk her horses across it from one pasture to the other. I'll tell my buddy Brandon over at Elite Earthworks, thanks for sharing my celebratory 5,000 subscriber post. I really appreciate that. He's definitely been a real motivation to me. He's been killing it on his videos lately. He makes some of the best out there. You can tell that he really puts a lot of effort into them. But now my driver / operator, Brandon, he's killing it too. He's doing an awesome job. He's really getting good at this excavator, and he's already been a good driver. We're not letting the truck too heavy because it is still a little bit soft in here. I don't want that big of a rig. Southeastern Land Specialists family. And I'm cleaning this bank, and I'm just dropping these weeds kind of like that. Letting the dirt fall off the root balls. Pick them up and you see there's not a lot of dirt left at all. We're just going to stack our organic material to put back on this. It's kind of a germination bedding once we get done with it. That other pile on in.
Yeah, probably better.
Looks to me like this little pile's dried out a little bit already.
Yeah, I'm looking at there. There you go.
good enough to where I don't lift my pipe up, but I can pack it under there to stop any little bit of flow of water, and I can push any water out from under it. And it doesn't just soak, and then you end up having just a ton of continuous mud being developed. On top of it first. Doesn't look like a lot of dirt, but it's enough. As you can push down with a 20,000 pound machine. And this is how we begin the backfilling process. If you just clumped a ton of dirt down all at once, you wouldn't be able to get up under that pipe at all. Not an ideal situation. Get that ready for the outflow side. Put that grass in there, we'll put that on our tail ball side. Once I get above the hump, as Lyle called it, I feel like I'll be able to really pile it on, and I can actually start. I may circle around to that other side and just push some of that dirt that's existing down to hold the pipe in place. Then we can start tracking the dirt in. Come on back, that's good. Actually, can you roll on back about 2 feet, 2, 3? I don't have a whole lot of reach with this excavator, so I have to get him as close as I can to save time and make ourselves as efficient as possible. If it rains, we're sunk. That's good. We'll just stick there. I'll just scoot closer to him. That's how we'll fix that. Clumps of grass, nothing major. Let's just spin this away, shall we? There's a few roots in there. I can separate them out when I get over there to where I'm hauling this dirt over to. Anyway. Like it's going to try to rain. Now see, I know down there where we're dumping, he's leaning just a little bit to his passenger side, so I'm going to load him passenger side heavy this time. Add a little bit of a cushion for him. the difference between turning over and not turning over. I load these trucks as if I was driving them. Transfer the dirt, it loosens the dirt from the roots. Just because I'm loading it in the truck here doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go into the pit where we're filling. Just trying not to waste time with scoops. Luckily we're not having to transfer it but about 100 feet. A little truck like this, that can get quite time consuming. I'm loading a little bit heavier now because the ground's starting to get compacted and dry, and the heavier that I can get him and he can pack this ground, if it rains tonight, the water will not be able to soak in as good. It won't take as long for us to be able to get back to work tomorrow. In theory. Some of the grass is in there. Touch. Enough of a shift, it can bump a truck and turn them over. I'm thrilled with that plywood. That was a good idea for us to do. All clean. Trim that latch down, it ain't wanting to close. Dirt's coming pretty clean. Now what I'm doing is I'm swinging as I dump this dirt out. Helps me to be able to see if there's a rock or if there is a big root or something that I need to get out of there. like really good compaction, like to me 6 to 12 inch lifts between compacting each level. Now see, I'm watching how that pipe reacts when I slam into the ground, and if it moves much in any one way, I react to it. And right now, for it to scoot over toward the other side ain't a real big deal, but I don't want it to go so far that I can't backfill over there easily as well. Let me get this packed, and then we'll see about moving some dirt to the other side. Yeah, then what I'm gonna do is, like I've showed you guys before, I'm putting my boom down and I'm gonna walk out on it as far as I can anyway. Put my blade down to stabilize myself. Now I'm gonna be ready at any time for this sucker to cave off with me. You've got to be ready for it to cave off. What I would do if I went to cave is I'd swing this way as quick as I could and just plan on setting my boom right there. Stabilize myself. Now one other thing I can do for my driver, I'll show you here in a minute, is I can go ahead and scoop this side, so when he backs in here, I've got some dirt there to level him. And it just makes it safer for everybody, really. These are time-consuming processes, but it's good work to get into as entry level, I guess you might call it. If you're wanting to get started in excavation and grading, this is good types of jobs because they're straightforward. There's not a whole lot of variables. And the smaller the culvert pipe, the easier it is. There is ways to mess it up, but not ways to mess it up to the point where there's no turning back. Pack this in, it's actually pushing down on the pipe more and more. So we're past the hard part. We're definitely into the easy section of this project. Easier section, I should say. So now to back off of this, I can either lift my boom up as high as I can, lift my blade, and see I'm not tipping forward, so I can just back straight up away from the bank. Now if I can just get this enormous root off of here, that would thrill me greatly. I think been riding my blade I don't know how long. I believe it's going to try to rain us out. Cut that hump off. Hopefully you won't get hung up on it again. Come on back with him. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. 3, 2, 1. That's good. off, go ahead and run back up there and hook up to the trailer.
Okay.
Now, since we're going to call it a day, right down here I've got a pole, and that's not what I want in case it rains tonight, because that will hold water and soak in worse. So I want to make it to where water can get out. So I'm going to cut a little trench right here. Well, it's not really a trench, but a relief. Right here. So the water can get back in. What I am going to do is right here in this corner, I'm going to dig a hole, and that way you can catch the sediment down here on this end, and I can just scoop this little trench out in the morning. If it is muddy, it'll be right back to bare dirt. The way I'm going to keep it from soaking in down here, I'm just going to compact it. Definitely getting ready to rain. Just like a miniature little sediment pond. And that way our creek doesn't fill up with sediment. Now I'm gonna have to bottom my cylinder out and clean my bucket. Alright, Brandon, last load. Take her away. Yeah, here before it rains. That's what we gonna do. I'll give it to that little F750. That little sucker, it keeps traction pretty good. It ain't got a heavy enough motor in it to bog it down. What we're doing right now is Brandon's using the tractor to just track back and forth to see how good a compaction we've got. The excavator per square inch doesn't put near the pressure on the ground that the tractor does. So looking at that, we're getting really good compaction. So we'll take a break from this. I'll take you over here to the borrow pit and show you what I've done there. What I've done now is I went ahead and graded out the borrow pit to see how much we've moved back from the creek bank. Also, by doing that and fluffing the ground, since we've got a good hot sunny day today, it's going to give this material a real good chance to dry out. That way I'm putting a fine grade on it and compact it and get it ready for seed. So now that I have my grade pretty well roughed in, I can just keep cutting this bank out and just cut the grade. About a half bucket at a time is what I'm going to take, and you'll see this bank just keep going along on the same grade. Let's do some time lapse. now, that's how I do a basic creek crossing. We just dug out the creek, stuck a 4-foot pipe in, spent a lot of time backfilling, and thanks to my new employee Brandon, I couldn't have gotten this done in near the amount of time, and probably not as well, just because I was wanting to teach him how to do this right. So I was thinking through the steps more and more as well. So thanks to you, Brandon, man, I appreciate it. You've done great. You're learning a lot. You're killing it out here. We got our backfill done rapidly. It's so much easier having somebody to run another piece of equipment or run the dump truck without me having to jump back and forth. It's just relieved a ton of stress on me, and I hopefully he sticks with me for a good long time. After we got the backfill done, we put fabric down because with the constraint of the length of pipe, we had to do pretty steep sides. So we put the fabric down, put down, I think we've got 16 tons of Class B riprap. It's about the size of footballs. That's going to help hold the fabric in place, which is going to help hold soil in place. We compacted and compacted and compacted. This is solid. I would take my dump truck loaded across this in a heartbeat, no questions asked. We built it with the idea in mind that it could be a future driveway or even a logging truck path. It would have to be widened. There's not enough room here for a truck to make a turn. But now, like a tandem or just a single length logging truck, you could definitely get it across here. And I would feel comfortable driving one across it right now. This was a super fun project. I love doing culvert work. For all you guys out there who are wanting to get into light excavation and grading, culverts are a huge part of it. There's decent money in it. You can make a good living adding culverts. It's a big part of doing driveways. Driveways is how I got my start, and we're slowly growing into bigger and bigger projects, but we're letting the business grow itself. When you push a business, sure, it might grow faster, but it can also collapse faster in a downturn. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something. Maybe I'll learn something from you in the comments. I love you guys. You are amazing. We broke over 5,000 subscribers this past week, and we're well on our way to 5,200, I guess. Thank you guys. We love you. Hopefully you're having a great day. I know I am. We'll see you guys on the next video.